Thank you. It's good to be here today on this important and most pressing issue. I think everybody knows the corruption crisis in the state of Illinois is a worldwide embarrassment. But what we don't talk about enough is how the rampant corruption that and the influence peddling that takes place in here affects regular people's ability to prosper in this state. Because the majority party refuses to put in place even the most bare minimum of ethical guardrails, here's what kind of happens on almost every major piece of legislation or lack of legislation in this place. Big money special interest comes in and gives big money to politicians in power who then pass legislation that is basically for the special interests, mostly written by the special interests, that benefit the status quo at the expense of the taxpayers in this state. And every day that we are not making major reforms that bring more opportunity to this state, taxpayers in this state are being punished. So, let's do some simple things, guys. Let's expose and eliminate conflicts of interest. Legislators need to choose between personal profit and public service. No more politicians like Madigan and many others around here using their legislative clout to line their pockets at the taxpayers' expense. House Bill 1641 would, at a bare minimum, put restrictions in place that would force public recusal for conflicts of interest. That's common sense. The revolving door between legislator and lobbyists is a joke in this state. It needs a lot of work. House Bill 3953 changes that restriction from basically immediately, in essence, to 3 years. I think that's an important and practical step. The Legislative Inspector General setup that Representative Wilhour referenced is so bad that the previous Legislative Inspector General resigned after the weak, watered-down legislation that we passed in the last session, calling the office a paper tiger. House Bill 3582 would address those legitimate concerns. It would give subpoena power to the Legislative Inspector General. It would give them the power to investigate without getting permission from the very people that they are supposed to be investigating to do their job there. And it would require that the Legislative Ethics Committee actually vote no on releasing results of investigations. Currently, basically, they have to vote yes to release it. We want to change that backwards and make the standard procedure that it would be released unless they specifically voted not to. And we need to empower citizens in this state, especially since so many citizens in this state are marginalized by the way that we make maps in this state. Here. People should have the ability by ballot initiative to override egregious legislation like the Safety Act or the cash bail stuff. The state of California, which is competing with us to be the most far left state in the country, has this mechanism, and they actually use this mechanism to override the governor and the legislature on ending cash bail in the state of California. The bottom line is that everybody knows what needs to be done. Everybody in here knows what needs to be done. The other side of the aisle knows what needs to be done, and they're just not doing it. It's completely unacceptable. And we're here today because we're not accepting any more watered down half measures. We don't compromise when it comes to requiring ethical behavior from our government. And we need nothing less than the strongest anti-corruption safeguards in the country to start to restore some credibility, much needed credibility here, and to ensure that corrupt politicians like Mike Madigan never get the kind of power over the citizens that they've had in this state ever again.